Hey, what's up? Welcome to the AV Club podcast. We're going to jump right into it. I'm in a new seat today. I just redid the intro, so I just said that, but feels weird talking and repeating yourself like this. But anyways, I'm in a new seat, new atmosphere, new thoughts, new episode. So let's get into it. So I've been thinking about this subject of hard work and almost like setting a standard for yourself, for your family, and for, I guess just for your life, right? And whatever that represents. And I think that it's depending on the person. For me, I think it's a good thing for me to be hard on myself, to withhold the standard that I want to withhold, right? Because for me, that comes with goals, dreams, aspirations. I have some ambitions to hit some goals, short-term, long-term, or short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And so I think that without those goals, without that standard, I wouldn't be growing, you know? So it's hard. Sometimes the lines get blurred and all that stuff, but like spiritually it can get blurred, right? 'Cause sometimes you cross that line of like, am I doing this for me? Is this selfish ambition, or is this purpose driven and spiritual driven? Like, am I following the purpose that God has for me, or am I following the purpose that I have for me? Which, you know, praying on it, I feel like it seems as if it's like a God driven purpose, because my goals and dreams have shifted a little bit since my relationship with the Lord has gotten better. But anyways, I think it's necessary, depending on who you are and what you're wanting to do, to be your worst critic, your hardest critic. I think it's necessary for you to be hard on you, right? Aaron can be hard on Aaron in my work, fitness, health, my relationships, because I want to get better at them. You know, I don't want to stay where I'm at. I want to continue to grow. And I think holding yourself to a higher standard is never a bad thing, right? Unless you're like a criminal, and a higher standard would be robbing more people, or, you know, hurting more people, or whatever. But I thought that was funny. But so like when I was in high school, I really wanted to go to the NBA, or at least college. NBA was the goal. College was like, you know, a stepping stone to get to the NBA. And so my standard was like, you know, basketball. I had my sports were my standard, and like I had a high standard to be the best player I could be, best player on the court, honestly. And, you know, in high school, you're still fresh-minded. You still don't know much. And so I didn't even go as hard as I could have, or I should have, to reach that goal. And it's just interesting to look back and think on it, because when you're in school and you're playing sports, that matters more than grades for the most people, you know? Like if you really care and you're really passionate about sports, that matters a lot more than grades does. At least to me it did. You know, like I always made good grades, but I prioritized that over grades. Yeah. So that was my goal, right? I didn't have goals of like becoming the best. I didn't want to be valedictorian or salutatorian or whatever it's called. And I didn't have goals of getting like full ride scholarships in academics. I had goals on being a basketball player. So, transition to college, when basketball was over, I didn't have that goal anymore, because it was gone. Like I missed my opportunity. I didn't make it. Chose not to go to college to play. And then the goal shifted to health and fitness. And so that became a huge passion of mine. And back then and currently, I still didn't even go as hard as I could have in that avenue, you know? And so I don't know. There's a constant goal. Like for me, I think it's, I don't know. Not following through is is like a commitment thing that I have. Like I'll follow through for a few weeks or maybe a few months, and then it'll kind of fall off. And you always hear like, dude, it's a marathon, not a sprint. It's a marathon, not a sprint, which I agree with. But it's also like, man, one of these days I'm going to have to commit, or I'm going to just have to not commit. Like it's more annoying to me than to like be lukewarm about it than to not be one way or the other fully, if that makes sense. Right? If I have a goal of, weighing a certain weight, losing weight, gaining muscle, having those fitness goals, and I get close but I don't hit it, it's like, man, or not even really that close, to be honest. Like it's kind of always been like that. I'd like make my way towards the goal, and then I would restart the cycle. And this is kind of what I'm talking about when I say like breaking cycles like that, breaking cycles of not following through with what I promised myself. Right. And I think that's a common theme within like families, my family a little bit. My dad is like the hardest worker I know, but even within my family, there's times where we're not honest with ourselves. Like we say we're going to do something when we don't. And it's usually to ourselves, not really to other people, because we're always taught like, be a man of your word and follow through with what you say to others. And we do, that's something that I believe my family, I don't know about most people, but my family specifically, we do that, but not to ourselves. Like if we tell ourselves we're going to like lose some weight, we don't. If we tell ourselves we're going to like, for me, like if it's a business goal, I'm like, okay, well, I got to make X amount of videos this week or this month, and I don't, it's like, why is it easier for me to slip up on myself than to somebody else? Which maybe it's a lack of respect. Maybe it's a lack of faith in myself. Maybe I'm scared. I don't know. It's probably a combination of all of those, but I want to break that. I don't want that for anybody, but especially not for myself at this point in my life or my wife. It's like, I want us to be fully committed to whatever it is we tell ourselves and whatever it is we tell others, and now that I'm an adult, health and fitness is still a goal and a standard that I want to withhold. But for all those people who are out of college and have been out of college for a little bit, it's like setting a standard for life when there doesn't seem to be a goal is one of the hardest things ever, right? Like you see people on social media doing it, and maybe that motivation helps you a little bit, but I've heard this quote recently, but it's like motivation doesn't last. It's discipline that is what you need, And so like, if you think about that, like if you watch a video that motivates you every day, and then a couple of days out of the week you don't watch that video, are you still going to do what it is that you're shooting towards? Or is like the video the source of your motivation and inspiration? You hear people talking about you have to find your, quote unquote, why. Like, why are you doing this? That's what's going to carry you through. That's a common fitness term, right? Like you're doing this for your family, you're doing this for your children or your grandchildren, you're doing this for your health so you don't die. You're doing this for a personal record, a personal best. That's a common thing in life and in work, or fitness and in work. And so it's just interesting that I don't seem to follow through 100% with myself. And then obviously from the outside looking in, it may not seem like that. Or it may seem like, oh, you did that and you're actually pretty good. But it's a slow process, slow burn. And I don't know. I'll put it this way. If I was really committed to myself and I was really respectful of my own thoughts and my own time, I probably would have accomplished more and like would look a little physically different in terms of fitness wise, and I would eat different. And I don't know. I think about that stuff. You can't really think about that. You can't dwell on it, or else it'll get you really down sometimes. which it has before, but I think that's part of the reason why I want a standard, is so that I don't have to think about that kind of stuff. Like this morning, I got up, moved my wife's car so she could get to work. She took my truck this morning, and I was awake 6:45, and I want to make it, I try to make it a goal to run every morning so that I can lift in the evening and not have to do both, and just, get through the workouts a little quicker so that I can get to work faster and eat dinner quicker and so on and so forth. But this morning I just overthought about it. I was like, I could probably run this evening. Like, it wouldn't be that bad if I ran for a mile or two before my workout. I've done it before. It's not that hard. And I talked myself out of it, which part of that standard is like doing things you tell yourself you're going to do, even when you don't want to. Today was a day I didn't want to, and I didn't. And so now I'm kind of regretting that, because I have to stop work early. I probably have to shorten my lifting workout in order to run. It's going to be hotter when I run. There's so many negatives to it, and the mental aspect of not doing what I said I was going to do. It's also annoying. I don't know. It's interesting. I know a few things for sure that I want, that I have goals for, standards for, and I'll list a few of them. But I want to love and serve the Lord and serve others. First thing, like priority, like the Lord, and then obviously my wife, my family, and then friends, strangers, whoever it is. I want to love people and serve them. And that's a goal that I think is naturally easier for me most of the time. It's not always easier. It's not always easy. Sometimes it is hard to do that. I want to be loving and serve my wife, because I want to set those standards for us now so that we can together hold those standards for our future family. I want to be good to people in business and provide real value. That's something that I've really been thinking about. Like, I want to provide real value, going above and beyond, making sure that they're satisfied with their work and overly satisfied with their work, so that, I don't know, not because of anything, just because I want to make sure that happens. And I guess with these goals and standards, or like that I want to have, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis is the question. It's like, do I need to get up at 6 a.m. and run to be a good person to my wife or my clients? I don't know if I tell myself, kind of, right? Like if I tell myself getting up at 5 or 6 is going to be the key to me working out and being a nicer, loving person, and I don't do that, I don't know. That's the weird thing about it. Because if I don't follow through with what I say to myself, I'd probably be in a worse mind frame, a worse mindset that day, a little bit more negative. If I don't get as much accomplished during the day, does that make me not as loving or serving to my wife? I don't know. These are the things that I guess I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to do on a daily basis, but that's the discipline aspect that I'm trying to find. And not to say that I don't have any. I have a little bit. It's getting harder to record these podcasts. I'm trying to make it more of a discipline and more of a habit to just record them and release them, rather than to make sure I have the perfect guest and the perfect XYZ lined up, I know there's a lot of things I want to do, a lot of things that I want to achieve, and a lot of things that I've already achieved, and God has blessed me with the ability to do them and achieve them. And I think along with this topic comes being able to reflect and look back and say, you know what, I have made a long journey to where I'm at today. I have improved. I am better today than I was yesterday. And even if I didn't take a step forward every day, sometimes you're not always taking a step backwards. You know, it just feels like it. It just feels like you're not turning the wheels. But that's okay. And I think it's okay to appreciate and to celebrate a little bit those victories. But that's one of my struggles too. It's like it's hard to find the positives. I mean, there's always positives, and I always see the positives for the most part, but it's hard to celebrate the positives when I know there was negatives involved. And sometimes that's not okay. Like, the other day that happened to me and my wife. We had a really good event, and we got in the car and it was really good. And I was like, man, we had a miscommunication here. How do we fix it? And she was like, dude, what? We just had one of the best events ever. And you're going to point out the negative? There were so many more positives than that one negative. And I was like, oh, yeah. Afterwards, I thought about it. And I was like, you're right. Like, I still do want to fix the negative, but you're totally right. There were so many more positives than there were negatives that day. And that put me into perspective right there. Like, it made me, sit and reflect and think about, because it was good. It was really good. It was, we did well. One little hiccup, but it wasn't even that big of a deal. And like, I just was trying to make sure that didn't happen again for the next time. But the positives outweighed the negatives huge, dramatically. Yeah. I'm almost done here. One of the biggest goals I have is to break these cycles. Cycles of just like lack of education, whether it comes to finances or how to work hard, how to be consistent, how to be disciplined, because those are things I want to teach my kids. And I want to teach my kids, like, there's a saying, pretty sure I heard it on like Joe Rogan or something, but he says like, hard times make hard men make easy times make soft men make hard men, or hard times or something like that. Soft men make hard times. Yeah. Soft men make hard times. And anyways, like, I think that is true to a point, right? If you, I don't know, if things are handed to you and you're kind of living that silver spoon, silver platter life, right? I think that's what it's talking about. But my perspective is my parents have given me a better life than they've had, right? And it has been hard for me. At least I see it like that. Like, it's hard when you have it good and when you're not really worried about much, realistically. Like, you have them to fall back on. It's hard to have that standard, to find that standard, and it's hard to be motivated to like move the needle. You see it time and time again. But with me, I'm trying to break that cycle of like, not moving the needle. Like, my dad gave me and my family a good life. So I want to provide that for my family, but I don't want to provide it in a way that's, I'm not saying my dad did this, but like, I want to provide it in a way where it's achievable again, right? Like, it's achievable. Like, if I have a son in the future, it's like, hey son, you're going to have a great life, but also I'm going to teach you the disciplines I'm going to give you the infrastructure to be able to replicate this so that you can also achieve it in an achievable and like attainable way. I don't want to make times super hard or super easy for them, but like good enough and hard enough. It's like the perfect combination, good enough and hard enough so that they can create success and find that discipline themselves. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do, is find that groove to where it's like, how do I do this and build up myself so that I could teach these skills to my future offspring so that they can do it. And same for other people. It doesn't have to just be my offspring, but anybody who wants to learn, I'll teach. And I think that's one of my gifts, is like being able to, maybe not even teaching, but like being able to relate and communicate with people on a level that makes it feel like an even playing ground. I think I relate to people really well. That's one of my strengths. And I could talk to people, so I can be realistic, and I can be maybe harsh if it's needed, or maybe like telling people to celebrate the successes. I don't know. It's cool. Been blessed in that way. But yeah. Let's see. But it holds us back. There's no. Yeah. I've been wanting to. So here's the thing. I think right now there's so much content, there's so much like stuff to consume, that you're either A, going to consume it and just be lost in it, which is kind of where I'm at right now, or B, you're going to want to create your own. And that's what I'm trying to dig out of. I'm trying to dig out of the consuming to where I'm at that level where I'm creating. This podcast really helps me. So whoever listens, if you listen, thank you so much, because you give me a platform to do that and to not only help myself, but hopefully help you and help others that you talk to and speak with in your network about like growing as a human, growing in your spirituality or your relationships, or physically just like getting better. Maybe it's your job, maybe it's just like relationally, whatever. That's what I want people to get out of these things. So the creation aspect of life is kind of slowing down. There's like a handful of people who are like, and it's a matter of like fear and willingness to like just step out of that comfort zone and to just I don't know, take the risk. Because it's really not a big risk. Like creating content for me is not a big risk, because if I don't do well, then it's like I'm still in the same position. It's only going to make me better, and it's only going to either get me noticed by the people who I want to notice, or it's not, which is where I'm currently at. And so there's really no risk. It just feels like a risk to like our ego, our pride, stuff like that. Anyways, I like sharing goals and stuff on this podcast because it makes me have to be accountable, you know? And so I think that people could utilize platforms like this, podcasts, or even like a journal, or telling a friend, or telling a spouse or a partner what your goals are, what you want to achieve, and when you want to achieve it by. And that would help you move your feet. It would help you move your feet. So I'm going to tell you guys my goals, and then I think we're going to wrap it up. So I've been wanting to start a YouTube channel for a while. I like the feeling of emotions being like overwhelming, right? When I'm listening to a song and there's, you know, like in a setting like a concert, everybody's singing that song, everybody's feeling the emotions that the artist had. I love that feeling right there. Like when you're in a stand-up comedy event, someone tells a joke, everybody's dying laughing. That, if I could put that in a bottle and drink it every day, I would, man. That's what I want. Not just for me, but for others. Like I want others to feel that emotion, true, raw emotion, whether it's laughter, which preferred laughter, or is, you know, sadness in a positive way, or which is, you know, like a sad song, right? I love that. So I want to start a YouTube channel, and I'll say this on here. I don't know when this is going to happen. I'd love to try stand-up comedy, to try like dipping my mind into writing jokes, because I'm obsessed with watching them. And I want to become obsessed with writing them, or sketch comedy or something. I just like making people laugh. You know, it's one of those emotions I love. I don't know if that's an emotion. Oh, whatever. Yeah, like those are the two big ones. And then like, obviously I have other ones, but those are the two ones that I think you guys would notice the most, because it'd be putting them out there. And then I guess I'll say this, fitness wise, fitness wise, I want to be a hybrid athlete, as they call it. I want to be like this athletic club, this guy named Nick Bear. I'm going to get some crap for mentioning him on this if certain people listen to this podcast, but he's jacked, big stacked guy, really bulky, but he can also run like 5 miles a day at like a 7:30 pace, and he's done ultra marathons. I would love to do that kind of stuff, and I just have to put the work in every day and take it one step at a time. Anyways, that's the episode. That was a good one. I like that. Hopefully you got some value out of it. Please like and share this podcast. Subscribe. Be on the lookout for YouTube stuff. Like it might be business stuff, or it might be little snippets like this. So I'm not sure yet. But anyways, thanks guys. God bless.